some final takeaways from this game the other night. First off, I know one of the things we're seeing a lot of some people asking about is Mazi Smith.
Yep.
And Mazi has had a little bit of a tough go in training camp in terms of he's still a little slow off the ball, something he's acknowledged, something that he's working at. And he is naturally in a position that does not flash because he's meant to eat up space. He's meant to eat up double teams, clear things for linebackers to run through. So he's not always going to flash. I heard Brad Sham talking on the postgame show with Brian Broaddus and Zach Wolchuk. And he had said that someone had asked him, hey, is this Mazi Smith guy going to be worth a first-round pick? What do you think of him? Do you think you're going to be calling his name a lot during games? And Brad said, what if I were to tell you that I may only call his name once or twice a game, and yet he could be doing exactly what they want him to do?
RJ Choppy would say that is not worth a first-round selection.
But if you're calling DeMarvion Overshown's name or Leighton Vander Esch's name because he has cleared the space for them to run through and blow up a play,
right?
He's not getting the credit, but he's getting the assist at that point. It was a tough game in spots for Mazi Smith. There were a couple different times that he ended up on the ground, lost leverage. You know, he still plays. Brian's talked about this. He still plays a little too high. He's got to get a lower center of gravity. He gets too upright. It's easy for offensive linemen to block and get their hands on him. There were a couple plays. There was one in particular where he made a nice play to shed the offensive lineman and get inside and make a tackle on a run play. So there was some good, there was some bad, just like there's been with Mazi during this training camp. He's still very young, still learning how to use all of the tools that he has in his toolbox. And so that's just kind of where he is at this point. I have 3 players that I think really checked the box in terms of carried over practice into these preseason games. And now the final question is, will they carry it over into the regular season? First one, friend of the show, DeMarvion Overshown, who we just mentioned there. He was incredibly impressive. He showed really good instincts in the game, showed really high football IQ, quick mental processing, understands run fits. That's all really positive stuff from a guy who's only been playing linebacker full-time for about a year. He got to Texas as a defensive back and transitioned over to linebacker, was asked to do a lot of different things. But the fact that he's still so young at the position, you know, relative to his time playing football, it's impressive to see just how natural some of his instincts are. So I thought he was really, really good in this game, especially that big 3rd and 1 stop where he filled the hole and stood up Tank Bigsby, who is a physical pounding runner. You liked what you saw from Overshown?
Oh, yeah. It totally makes a difference having the interview connection as well, because he's got a great personality. I was like, is this guy too thin? Is this guy thin to play linebacker? But I thought the TV guys did a great job of comparing him to J-Ron Curse. He and Sam Williams combined on that one series. Both of them made very nice stops. But Overshown was getting a ton of Tolo love along with Damone Clark. And I think they were talking about Overshown having a running back background as well, I think.
I think he played some offense in high school too.
Yeah.
So he's an incredible athlete, and that was one of the things you weren't sure of is that thin build. Like you talk about, he has the J-Ron Curse body type, so it's like how easily is he going to be able to step up in a gap and make a stop on a big 3rd and 1, and he did it, and it was very impressive. And it was interesting. He actually led the pregame hype circle for the entire roster, which is unusual for rookie, even in preseason when a lot of times Dak's not playing or whoever else. It's not normal necessarily for a rookie to stand up there and lead the whole team in a speech before they go back to the locker room one final time before kickoff. And he was out there doing it. And so that's somebody that they clearly trust as a leader. That's somebody that they've put the green dot on his helmet for some of these practices in Oxnard, which means he's got the headset. He's calling the play. They really trust his football IQ. So checking every box along the way, DeMarvion Overshown. Jalen Tolbert, which I know you blamed me for last year.
Yes.
For getting your expectations too high. And he disappointed. And he was absolutely a disappointment last year. He will talk about it. The biggest disappointment undoubtedly in the entire draft class last year. But I thought what you've seen out here in these training camp practices, the toughness, the willingness to attack the football, go over the middle, make plays in traffic. I think you saw that transition over into the game. And even on the offensive pass interference, which was a little ticky-tack, I think you saw, fighting for the ball, attacking the football, going up, showing the big catch radius, showing the awareness for his feet to the sideline. It's all good stuff to put on tape.
As David Hellman tweeted, it doesn't even matter that I got called back.
Yep.
He showed he was capable of making the play. That's what matters with that. I thought it was out of bounds. I thought they were calling him out of bounds for that, but it said it was the ticky-tack. And it was ticky-tack, I thought.
Yeah, and it's something that when I saw that play, Brian and I were sitting next to each other and we talked about it, where it's like, that's the guy we saw on South Alabama tape, that he made those plays routinely, and that's the way he would go up and attack the football. So it was really weird last year when he was short-arming some stuff or didn't look confident going after the football. The confidence is clearly up. You know, Patrick Walker told us last week that he acknowledged his confidence last year was at like a 2, and even said that it's still a work in progress. Basically said it's like a 6 or a 7 now. And so continuing to build that progress, and I thought it was important when he got back from the sideline on his touchdown, who was it that was there right out of the gate to greet him? It was Dak and it was Brian Schottenheimer. And it was those guys trying to build him up and tell him, like, that's what we need from you. That's the kind of guy that you can be. And then the other player that really stood out, obviously, Barry Sanders. Old Deuce Vaughn.
Yes.
The deuce is loose. He was out there. I mean, look.
Now, let me ask you real quick, just kind of joking here. Bijan, he showed you those moves that Deuce showed on Saturday. That to me is a Barry Sanders comparison with what he did, making everyone look foolish out there. Did you see that? You watched more Bijan than I did.
So
did you see that?
Bijan is obviously taller. He's over 6 feet tall. I think he's 6'2". And so he generally, his frame does not have the same shiftiness, but in terms of the footwork is similar. And you do see some of the ability. There have been viral clips of Bijan out at practice just roasting DBs and receiver drills. And so he does have the elusiveness. He does have the shiftiness. But Deuce Vaughn, definitely, it's easy to see naturally some of those comparisons.
That's special. His shakes and his elusiveness, what he did Saturday to those defenders, you don't see that. That was Barry Sanders-esque. I'm not saying he is Barry, but those... When I put Sanders on that type of pedestal, it's a really high pedestal. And Deuce Vaughn, that was Barry-like. Wow.
Couple of questions here from the truckwreck.com fan text, and one on Deuce Vaughn from the 254. Says, Bobby, a couple of years ago, we were all irritated that Pollard was obviously great but not getting the carries. Are we going to go through the same deal with Deuce Vaughn? Why is the organization so hesitant to showcase young talent at running back?
Good question.
It is. There are still, you're talking about a complete anomaly in terms of his size. He is, it's not even so much we have all this data that says guys his size don't get hurt. It's not even that. It's they don't have data on guys his size. There's nobody who's played at his size in the NFL in the last 25 years. And so that's such an anomaly that they're trying to figure out, how does this frame hold up? They clearly are giving him a heavy workload here in the preseason. They've given it to him out in training camp. And I do think he's going to see work as a third down. He's on the roster. I know there were questions about, is he going to make it or whatever. He's on the roster for sure, given what he's shown us so far. And if he's somebody who can figure out the return game a little bit, how to attack the football, he can make plays on special teams. And he's somebody, I think, who is going to be used in certain passing situations, used in certain third and long on draw plays and stuff like that. You will see touches for Deuce Vaughn. But yeah, I'm guessing, because you're going to see him in spurts, usually ones that are going to be favorable to his skill set, there is going to be a groundswell pretty quick in the season of, why are we not seeing more Deuce Vaughn? And it may be a case of, when you see more Deuce Vaughn, it's not what you thought it was. I'm a believer in him. I think he can hang at this level. I don't think he can be a 25 carry a game back, but he's somebody who absolutely can be part of the equation. 817, do you see the Cowboys making a move to upgrade the O-line? Boy, they need to. And one move you can make, first off, is just you handle Zach Martin and get him back in here. But the depth is something that I think they felt good about their offensive line depth when they got here. And it has really been tested, and the depth does not look as good as I think they hoped. I think they hoped Matt Waletzko, their 4th-round pick from last year, or 5th-round pick from last year, would be further along than he is. I think they hoped Matt Farniak would seize the opportunity a little bit more. He's struggled a little bit. They like Brock Hoffman, who actually started at center the other night, plays some center, plays some guard. He's going to be getting a lot of opportunities here in training camp. But yeah, I think offensive line depth, it's a talent-starved position across the league. There are more offensive line spots on a roster than there are talented players in the league. And because of that, it's tough to find depth, and it's tough to find teams that have that depth to trade. But yeah, if you can find a team that's got some that is also in need of, defensive back depth or something like that, you might be able to find a trade that works.